Once upon a time, in Uzbekistan, there was a poor man named Zabadan, who lived in the Durabzan mountain valley. He earned his living by herding sheep for a cruel landlord named Hamid. All Zabadan had were his muscular arms, a homemade flute, and 7 dark-eyed daughters. He loved his children very much. However, he still felt sad. He always wished for a son, because his daughters would eventually marry and move away, leaving him so lonely.
I wish I had a son to rely on in my old age.
One day, it was Tulip's turn to bring lunch to her father. She was Zabadan's youngest and most beautiful daughter. To soothe her father's fatigue, Tulip sang songs and danced gracefully. Her cheeks were pink, and her black eyes were bright like stars. Tulip wished she could sing and dance all her life to make the people around her happy. But Zabadan shook his head and said,
I'm just a poor shepherd. How can I afford to buy beautiful clothes for you?
Dad, I want to be a dancer. I'll sing and dance to make people happy.
It's impossible. I'm just a poor shepherd. How can I afford to buy beautiful clothes for you?
At that moment, Hamid rode his horse in front of the sheep, and he saw Tulip dancing. He hid himself behind small bushes and watched every movement of the charming girl. Waiting until Tulip returned home, Hamid jumped out of the bushes, grabbed her, and took her to his palace. Tulip was kept in a locked room where there were hundreds of beautiful girls weaving carpets.
Stop! Go with me or you'll die.
Let me go, please. Please let me go. From then on, Tulip had to wallow in the dust, working at this boring job from sunrise until sunset. She couldn't even see daylight all year round. When time passed, Tulip became homesick. She missed the murmur of the streams and the songs of the birds so much that she decided to run away. Dad, I miss you and my sister so much. I really want to come back home.
Hurry up! Do you want to be starved to death?
One day, Tulip stood by the window and looked down. To her astonishment, she discovered that there were countless pieces of broken glass on the ground. It turned out that these pieces of broken glass were a trap set by Hamid. If any girl risked her life to flee, she would cut her foot on the broken glass. At that moment, a bird came and perched on the windowsill. It was the white dove belonging to her eldest sister, Feridota. Tulip cut a lock of her hair in a hurry. Then she tied it to the foot of the bird to send a message to her family. Oh, it's the little dove of Feridota. Little bird, come here with me. Go to the sky. Fly high. Let my family know where I am. Getting the message from Tulip, Feridota attempted to save her. She came to Turushan, an old woman who lived in a tiny cottage, and looked for medicinal herbs every day. Turushan looked up at the moon and then said,
After 2 more nights, on the 3rd night, when the moon starts rising, Hamid will hold a feast. When the guards get drunk, you and your sisters have to enter the palace. The dove will show you the window of the locked room where the girls are being kept. You have to go barefoot, and your feet will be hurt by the broken glass. Hamid won't find you if there are so many spots of blood. If you want to save Tulip, you and your sisters must have your feet injured. Hammett won't know where to find you when there are so many spots of blood.
Yes, I got it. I'm sure we'll save Tulip. Feridota did all the things Tarushan had said to her. On the night when the feast was held, the guards were so drunk that they didn't know that the girls were secretly running away. The sisters spoke softly to Tulip. Tulip and her friends then jumped out of the window. Although their feet were injured, they didn't dare complain. Don't be afraid. Jump down. Hurry up. The guards are waking up. The girls ran. Then they heard the sound of the horses' hooves. Hammett was chasing them. It seemed that the wind gave them power to run away. But finally, Tulip was exhausted and left behind. Tulip thought to herself, "No, I would rather die in freedom than live like a slave." So she kept running until she couldn't stand it anymore. She fell down in the snow. At that time, Hammett came for Tulip and his horse stepped on her body. But the horse fell down and Hammett was seriously injured. He crawled home and urged his servants to chase those who fled. "No, I would rather die in freedom than live like a slave."
Stop! 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 Oh, ouch. My feet! They hurt!
Poor Tulip. With her bloody body, she tried to stand up again. She took a few steps, then fell down into the snow and never woke up. The next morning, Hammett and his servants climbed up the mountain and saw an amazing sight. From the spot where Tulip lay down grew thousands of beautiful red flowers. And these beautiful flowers have been called tulips ever since. That's the end of the story, The Legend of the Tulips. It is a touching story, isn't it? So now you know why the flower is named Tulip. I hope that through this story, you not only know about the meaning of a beautiful flower, but you also know about the bravery, strength, and kindness of the girl Tulip. Goodbye, and see you again.
He kept plodding and finally reached a mountain. But the cave was the home of a bear. The turtle.
4 little ducks went out one day.